You know, it's funny because over the years, journalists, some, not most, will want to talk about it. And I say, okay, if you want to have this conversation, I'm prepared to have it, but sit down and get comfortable for a few hours. If you want to start talking about race in America, you want to talk about the 1/8 rule?
Kamala the Cosplay Chameleon, don't threaten us with a good time now. Yeah, let's go ahead and have that conversation. Specifically, why you said this lady was your grandmother when she died 4 years before you were even born. Let's talk about that. And since you've switched your identity to a Black American, you know, when you needed Black support and credibility on the national stage, please tell us where are those tangibles for Black Americans, since you're supposed to be one of us.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.
Oh yeah, how could I forget you say you're not doing nothing for us? Kamala the Cosplay Chameleon cackled her way down to the All the Smoke podcast, hosted by Beavis and Butthead of the NBA Circa 2000. If you want me to give my thoughts about them and the overall interview, drop part 2 below in the comments. I will say I did notice this Masonic uniform Steven Jackson was wearing, along with that Baphomet looking hairstyle. You know Kamala's uncle was a Freemason too. All of these people are clicked in some way with each other. It's not a coincidence that she chose them to sit down with. I'll definitely speak more on that in part 2 if that's what you want to see, but Kamala ran over there because she knew she wouldn't have to answer any real questions. She's been ducking Candace Owens for a week now, and in this recent interview, she called herself clapping back at the people who had something to say about her racial identity switch.
So, you know, I don't mess with that. I think that's other people trying to figure some stuff out that and they
got some issues.
They gotta deal with it.
Nah, Kamala, that's your problem because it's not looking good for you. Millions of people are trying to figure out why you Rachel Dolezal yourself to the White House, hijacking the identity of Black American women when you're not even Black. Yes, Madam VP, that is indeed your problem right now, and specifically why you can't be trusted.
I want to show you something that's actually fascinating. So we've already deduced that for whatever reason, they, and by they, I'm referring obviously to Kamala's family, particularly Donald Harris and Kamala herself, are trying to pass off via a sleight of hand white Iris as Black Iris, okay? I break this down again, to be real careful here. Black Iris is Iris Finnegan. He claims that Iris Finnegan, Black Iris, is Kamala's great-grandmother. She claims that it's her great-grandmother in her book, and we see no evidence of that aside from this picture, which Donald claims that he shot of Kamala sitting on her lap. I felt that Iris was the help. What we know about Iris Finnegan is that her maiden name is Allen. So she was born Aura Iris Allen Finnegan. Okay, and then she marries allegedly Patrick Finnegan and takes on the Finnegan last name. Okay, White Iris, on the other hand, was born Iris Cambridge and takes on the last name Harris, and she also has a baptismal name named Vioris, so she becomes Iris Cambridge Harris. Well, check this out. Okay, in 1958, Cynthia Cambridge and her now husband, Freemason Alvis Cambridge, arrived on a first-class ship into Miami from Jamaica. And aboard that ship was also Iris F. Harris. Now, pause. What is wrong with this? Pull it back up. What is wrong with this? Her middle initial. Why on earth? Now, it makes sense that Iris and Alves and Alves' wife are all on the ship together coming from Jamaica. They make a stop. The last port they stop at is Nassau, Bahamas, before they arrive into Miami. But why is Iris's middle initial F? She was not born. She was never married into a Finnegan family. Why did she adopt that middle initial? That's huge. It's very strange that she would have done that. Remember, Donald is alleging that Black Iris, the great-grandmother, right, at no point her last name would have been Harris, just Finnegan. She was born Iris Aura Allen, again, just reiterating that, and she became Finnegan when she got married to Patrick Finnegan. So we know that this is not her on board this ship with the Harris last name. We know for a fact that that is our white Iris who married Oscar Harris. but she never had a middle initial F. I think this is the earliest indication that she was taking on the identity of the help. I remain convinced that Miss Iris was in fact the help. Like I said, if a single Black person is okay with this and votes for her because the media simply decided to make her Black, to essentially wave a little Harry Potter wand and go, oh, okay, we just need you to be Black because we need those Black votes, right? And you're okay with that, you should really re-examine your life. You should deeply, spiritually search within yourself to determine what is wrong with you, that you would allow this sleight of hand to compel you to vote for this woman, despite her horrific record, by the way, of locking up Black men. Who is this woman?
Yeah, this whole case of identity switch is bizarre. Something Kamala and her people are very used to doing. She's already pulled off one of the biggest scams in America. Look, the lady is a heartbeat away from being president. And what Candace is unraveling over there is absolutely crazy. From her standing next to a woman that was supposed to be anywhere from mulatto to white.
So who is that woman that is in the photo with Kamala, okay? Her father was Patrick Alhanasus Finnegan, who was an Irish slaver, okay? So that woman that you just saw, at a bare minimum, has to be half white. An Irish slaver is who her father was. Doesn't look like that.
And the birth certificate that she has is interesting because the confusion comes from a mistake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake. Now, if you've ever been to Jamaica and you go over to St. Elizabeth Parish, you see all the high, bright, and white that live in Jamaica. So I've got a good friend retired from law enforcement. He has a white wife, blonde-haired, blue eyes, but she was born in Jamaica. Her parents were born in Jamaica. One's blonde and blue-eyed, the other one's red-haired and gray-eyed. And they happen to be related to the King of England because they're aristocrats in England, but they were born in Jamaica. It's not unusual. You're not Black just because you're from Jamaica, and they have a whole lot of white people that never left, and their ancestors owned a lot of slaves. The Maroons went up into the hill country and got themselves free back in the 1840s, but, you know, other than that, it is what it is in Jamaica. So just because you're from that country does not mean you are of the Black race. So the problem is why don't you go get your daddy to give you an affidavit that you have a Black ancestor? And since the only possible claim you have is through your great-grandmother, who he says was a Hindu house servant, that just happens to be swarthy, where'd you get your Blackness from? See, you're faking it again.
Hindu house servant is what they are alleging that Iris was. And I am telling you, the fact that I just picked up on that in a vibe in a picture, do not tell me women do not have good gut instincts. I was just like, there's just something about the photo. It just wasn't loving. It felt very much like the help who got close with the kids but didn't want to be too close to the kids because, you know, you never know when the mom's gonna get upset because you're too close to the kids, kind of a kid situation. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is just common sense, but it's just not that common anymore. People are just like, I cannot believe my own eyes. I need to read the media. And CNN says that she's Jamaican. And then people were just confused. Like, they were literally asking the question, she was in Jamaica. How can you say that she's not Black? How can you even ask me this question? Like, where is your common sense? If I up and move to Sweden, I get to suddenly say I'm white? What's wrong with you guys? I mean, this is like common sense. Of course, there are white people in Jamaica. There are white people everywhere. There are white people in Africa. Does not make them Black. Elon Musk is not a strong Black man.
Just like Kamala the cosplaying chameleon isn't the strong Black woman that she's been pretending to be for a couple of years to make it to the White House, and now she's using the identity of Black American women to wiggle her way into the position as the top leader of the world. So of course, Kamala used her interview to low-key address these shocking allegations by taking digs at people calling out her BS.
Yeah.
You've always been secure in your identity, who you are, but what do you feel or what do you think when you hear people kind of questioning just the fabric of who you are?
Well, one, I don't listen to it.
Okay.
I'm really clear about who I am, and if anybody else is not, they need to go through their own level of therapy. That's not my issue.
Yeah, they're doing the research, Kamala, and your paperwork came back dirty. At this point, you're looking more and more like a pretending chameleon.
That's right.
My mother was very clear. She was raising 2 black girls to be 2 proud black women.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
Please, somebody tell me, how can an Indian woman raise 2 girls to be proud black American women when none of y'all are black American in the first place? So stop it. No one in your whole bloodline on either side, and she raised you mostly in Canada. How can an Indian turned Canadian woman raise black American women? I don't care about none of this baby bot bimbo babble. Kamala isn't black American in any way, lineage, race, or culture.
And it was never a question. You know, it's funny because over the years, journalists, some, not most, will want to talk about it. And I say, okay, if you want to have this conversation, I'm prepared to have it, but sit down and get comfortable for a few hours. If you want to start talking about race in America, you want to talk about the 1/8 rule?
A drop.
You want to talk about what it means in terms of who you are perceived to be and the impact that can have on the rest of your life, regardless of who you actually are in terms of your God-given capacity.
If you knew how much of an impact it was to be black and the things black people went through, it's crazy you would know all of that but still say this.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
And stop talking about some one-drop rule. That's American culture and part of the original black American story. You're neither black or black American. So stop trying to cloak yourself in blackness to hide the fact that you come from Irish slave masters on both sides of your daddy's family. And the real reason you have an issue when black Americans discuss tangibles is because you have a history, lineage, and bloodline of anti-black ideology and colorism on both sides of your family. We're not even going to talk about your mama's family and their discussion for even darker skinned Indians. See, Kamala up here talking about having that conversation, but lady, I don't expect for you to have that conversation with Beavis and Butthead or anyone in the mainstream media or co-signed by the mainstream media. No way, I don't expect that because all of them are protecting you, along with the black boule that's also holding you up right now as their curry queen. So no, stop pretending like you really want to have this conversation. You've been doing nothing but running away from it.
And the rights that you have and should have. So, you know, I don't mess with that. I think that's other people trying to figure some stuff out that and they
got some issues.
They got to deal with it.
Listen, it's very clear. This pretending chameleon is trying to scam everybody. She's 100% aware of these games that she's trying to play on people, especially the brainwashing that she's been doing to black people. Maybe this would have worked about 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, but it's 2024 and nobody's buying it. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Tell me what you think about this in the comments. Special thank you to Elmer. I appreciate you, Elmer, for all of your support for the channel, as well as Adrian. If you want to show your support for the channel too, you have to use PayPal for now. The link is below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.